What's up, internet users? Welcome to the Douay-Rheims Daily. Today is May the 14th. We're going to be reading the second book of Samuel, chapters 15 and 16, Psalm 128, and the Gospel according to John, chapter 4, verses 1 to 30. So starting with 2 Samuel, also known as 2 Kings in the Douay-Rheims. Chapter 15. Now after these things, Absalom made himself chariots and horsemen, and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom, rising up early, stood by the entrance of the gate. And when any man had business to come to the king's judgment, Absalom called him to him, and said, Of what city art thou? He answered and said, Thy servant is of such a tribe of Israel. And Absalom answered him, Thy words seem to me good and just, but there is no man appointed by the king to hear thee. And Absalom said, Oh, that they would make me judge over the land, that all that have business might come to me, that I might do them justice. Moreover, when any man came to him to salute him, he put forth his hand and took him and kissed him. And this he did to all Israel that came for judgment, to be heard by the king, and he enticed the hearts of the men of Israel. And after 40 years, Absalom said to King David, Let me go and pay my vows which I have vowed to the Lord in Hebron. For thy servant made a vow, when he was in Gesir of Syria, saying, If the Lord shall bring me again into Jerusalem, I will offer sacrifice to the Lord. And King David said to him, Go in peace. And he arose and went to Hebron. And Absalom sent spies into all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as you shall hear the sound of the trumpet, say ye, Absalom reigneth in Hebron. Now there went with Absalom 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, going with simplicity of heart, and knowing nothing of the design. Absalom also sent for Achitophel, the Gilonite, David's counselor, from his city Gilo. And while he was offering sacrifices, there was a strong conspiracy, and the people running together increased with Absalom. And there came a messenger to David, saying, All Israel with their whole heart followeth Absalom. And David said to his servants that were with him in Jerusalem, Arise, and let us flee, for we shall not escape else from the face of Absalom. Make haste to go out, lest he come and overtake us, and bring ruin upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword. And the king's servants said to him, Whatsoever our lord the king shall command, we thy servants will willingly execute. And the king went forth, and all his household on foot. And the king left 10 women his concubines to keep the house. And the king going forth, and all Israel on foot, stood afar off from the house. And all his servants walked by him, and the bands of the Sarathai, and the Phelathai, and all the Gethites, valiant warriors, 600 men who had followed him from Geth on foot, went before the king. And the king said to Ethai the Gethite, Why comest thou with us? Return and dwell with the king, for thou art a stranger, and art come out of thy own place. Yesterday thou camest, and today thou shalt be forced to go with us. But I shall go whither I am going. Return thou, and take back thy brethren with thee, and the Lord will show thee mercy and truth, because thou hast shown grace and fidelity. And Ethai answered the king, saying, As the Lord liveth, and as my lord the king liveth, in what place soever thou shalt be, my lord, O king, either in death or in life, there will thy servant be. And David said to Ethai, Come and pass over. And Ethai the Gethite passed, and all the men that were with him, and the rest of the people. And they all wept with a loud voice, and all the people passed over. The king also himself went over the brook Cedron, and all the people marched towards the way that looketh to the desert. And Zadok the priest also came, and all the Levites with him, carrying the ark of the covenant of God. And they set down the ark of God, and Abiathar went up, till all the people that was come out of the city had done passing. And the king said to Zadok, Carry back the ark of God into the city. If I shall find grace in the sight of the Lord, he will bring me again, and he will show me it, and his tabernacle. But if he shall say to me, Thou pleasest me not, I am not ready, let him do that which is good before him. And the king said to Zadok the priest, O seer, return into the city in peace, and let Achimaeus thy son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar your 2 sons be with you. Behold, I will lie hid in the plains of the wilderness, till there come word from you to certify me. So Zadok and Abiathar carried back the ark of God into Jerusalem, and they tarried there. But David went up by the ascent of Mount Olivet, going up and weeping, walking barefoot, and with his head covered. And all the people that were with them went up with their heads covered, weeping. And it was told David that Achitophel was also in the conspiracy with Absalom. And David said, Infatuate, O Lord, I beseech thee, the counsel of Achitophel. And when David was come to the top of the mountain, where he was about to adore the Lord, behold, Cusai the Arachite came to meet him with his garment rent and his head covered with earth. And David said to him, If thou come with me, thou wilt be a burden to me. But if thou return into the city, and wilt say to Absalom, I am thy servant, O king, as I have been thy father's servant, so I will be thy servant. Thou shalt defeat the counsel of Achitophel. And thou hast with thee Zadok and Abiathar the priests, and what things soever thou shalt hear out of the king's house, thou shalt tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priests. And there are with them their 2 sons, Achimaeus the son of Zadok, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. And you shall send by them to me everything that you shall hear. Then Cusai the friend of David went into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. Chapter 16. And when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba the servant of Mephibosheth came to meet him with 2 asses, laden with 200 loaves of bread, and 100 bunches of raisins, 100 cakes of figs, and a vessel of wine. And the king said to Ziba, What mean these things? And Ziba answered, The asses are for the king's household to sit on, and the loaves and the figs for thy servants to eat, and the wine to drink, if any man be faint in the desert. And the king said, Where is thy master's son? And Ziba answered the king, He remained in Jerusalem, saying, Today will the house of Israel restore me the kingdom of my father. And the king said to Ziba, I give thee all that belonged to Mephibosheth. And Ziba said, I beseech thee, let me find grace before thee, my lord, O king. And King David came as far as Bahurim, and behold, there came out from thence a man of the kindred of the house of Saul, named Shimei, the son of Gera. And coming out he cursed as he went on. And he threw stones at David, and at all the servants of King David, and all the people, and all the warriors walked on the right and on the left side of the king. And thus said Shimei when he cursed the king, Come out, thou man of blood, and thou man of Belial. The Lord hath repaid thee for all the blood of the house of Saul, because thou hast usurped the kingdom in his stead, and the Lord hath given the kingdom into the hand of Absalom thy son. And behold, thy evils press upon thee, because thou art a man of blood. And Abishai the son of Sarviah said to the king, Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? I will go and cut off his head. And the king said, What have I to do with you, ye sons of Sarviah? Let him alone, and let him curse. For the Lord hath bid him curse David. And who is he that shall dare say, Why hath he done so? And the king said to Abishai and to all his servants, Behold, my son, who came forth from my bowels, seeketh my life. How much more now a son of Jemani? Let him alone, that he may curse as the Lord hath bidden him. Perhaps the Lord may look upon my affliction, and the Lord may render me good for the cursing of this day. And David and his men with him went by the way, and Shimei by the hillside went over against him, cursing and casting stones at him, and scattering earth. And the king and all the people with him came weary, and refreshed themselves there. But Absalom and all his people came into Jerusalem, and Achitophel was with him. And when Cusai the Arachite, David's friend, was come to Absalom, he said to him, God save thee, O king, God save thee, O king. And Absalom said to him, Is this thy kindness to thy friend? Why wentest thou not with thy friend? And Cusai answered Absalom, Nay, for I will be his whom the Lord hath chosen, and all this people, and all Israel, and with him will I abide. Besides this, whom shall I serve? Is it not the king's son? As I have also served thy father, so will I serve thee also. And Absalom said to Achitophel, Consult what we are to do. And Achitophel said to Absalom, Go into the concubines of thy father, whom he hath left to keep the house, that when all Israel shall hear that thou hast disgraced thy father, their hands may be strengthened with thee. So they spread a tent for Absalom on the top of the house, and he went in to his father's concubines before all Israel. Now the counsel of Achitophel, which he gave in those days, was as if a man should consult God. So was all the counsel of Achitophel, both when he was with David and when he was with Absalom. Next up, we got Psalm 128. Saepe expugnaverunt. Often have they fought against me from my youth. Let Israel now say. Often have they fought against me from my youth, but they could not prevail over me. The wicked have wrought upon my back. They have lengthened their iniquity. The Lord who is just will cut the necks of sinners. Let them all be confounded and turn back that hate Sion. Let them be as grass upon the tops of houses, which withereth before it be plucked up, wherewith the mower filleth not his hand, nor he that gathereth sheaves his bosom. And they that have passed by have not said, The blessing of the Lord be upon you. We have blessed you in the name of the Lord. And lastly, we turn to the Gospel according to St. John, chapter 4, verses 1 to 30. When Jesus therefore understood that the Pharisees had heard that Jesus maketh more disciples, and baptizeth more than John, though Jesus himself did not baptize but his disciples, he left Judea and went again into Galilee, and he was of necessity to pass through Samaria. He cometh therefore to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near the land which Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there. Jesus therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well. It was about the 6th hour. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus saith to her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were gone into the city to buy meats. Then that Samaritan woman saith to him, How dost thou, being a Jew, ask of me to drink, who am a Samaritan woman? For the Jews do not communicate with the Samaritans. Jesus answered and said to her, If thou didst know the gift of God, and who he is that saith to thee, Give me to drink, thou perhaps wouldst have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. The woman saith to him, Sir, thou hast nothing wherein to draw, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou living water? Art thou greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? Jesus answered and said to her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again, but he that shall drink of the water that I will give him shall not thirst forever. But the water that I will give him shall become in him a fountain of water, springing up into life everlasting. The woman saith to him, Sir, give me this water, that I may not thirst, nor come hither to draw. Jesus saith to her, Go, call thy husband, and come hither. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Jesus said to her, Thou hast said well, I have no husband. For thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. This thou hast said truly. The woman saith to him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers adored on this mountain, and you say that at Jerusalem is the place where men must adore. Jesus saith to her, Woman, believe me, that the hour cometh, when you shall neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem adore the Father. You adore that which you know not. We adore that which we know, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true adorers shall adore the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father also seeketh such to adore him. God is a spirit, and they that adore him must adore him in spirit and in truth. The woman saith to him, I know that the Messiah cometh, who is called Christ. Therefore when he is come, he will tell us all things. Jesus saith to her, I am he who am speaking with thee. And immediately his disciples came, and they wondered that he talked with the woman. Yet no man said, What seekest thou, or why talkest thou with her? The woman therefore left her water pot, and went her way into the city, and saith to the men there, Come and see a man who has told me all things whatsoever I have done. Is not he the Christ? They went therefore out of the city, and came into him. And that about wraps it up. Good stuff. I mean, it's pretty wicked what's going on in 2 Samuel. I mean, you finally have the fulfillment of the prophecy that Nathan told David after he slept with Bathsheba. God said that his son, or actually God said that his enemies would sleep with all his wives underneath the sun, plain as day. But I don't think David would have ever guessed it would be his own son Absalom sleeping with all his wives on the rooftops, out in the open under the sun for all Israel to see. You want to know why he did that? It's because he didn't want the people that witnessed it to be confused. Absalom wanted everyone to be like, okay, there's no possibility for Absalom reconciling with David now that Absalom literally just slept with all his wives on the rooftop. And so anybody that was sitting on the fence between Absalom and David, well, now David's gone, so now everybody's on Absalom's side. And Absalom was pretty smart. I'm not saying he's good, but look what he did. I mean, when he first started out, he started out consulting with the people that I forgot exactly how the scripture puts it, but people that had business with David that were in trouble, basically. They had to come through the gate to get to King David, and Absalom stopped him and said, "Hey, man, you got a problem with David?" And they're like, "Yeah, this and this." And he's like, "It's cool with me, And he started networking and he started building connections with these people that weren't exactly on good terms with King David. And David had to flee. There was a huge conspiracy. And this is probably my favorite part about David, when Samaritan is cursing him and throwing stones at him, and his homies are like, "Hey, man, we need to cut this dude's head off." And David's like, "No." David knew it was coming. David knew he deserved this. This is where you see David's humility come back after him having been king this whole time. You see David high, and now you see David low. He's humbled. He's so humbled. Absalom, his son, has conspired against him. He's going to kill him, maybe. And he's like, "You know what? Maybe I deserve this. If the Lord says I deserve it, then let him go." And that takes humility. It sounds like David learned his lesson there. And just one little note that I wanted to clarify earlier. When you hear Samaritan talking about Saul being the son of Gemini, he's talking about Benjamin, because Saul was the son of Benjamin, I believe. If I'm wrong, leave a comment, but I'm pretty sure he was the son of Benjamin, and that's why it says son of Gemini. But anyway, that is about it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up, so God bless.